Hi once again, and welcome back to On the Move, where we go behind the scenes of some of Forsyth County's larger construction projects. Today, here behind us, the SR 369 at 400 Bridge, also known as Exit 18. John Jefferson's Director of Capital Projects. And John, I feel like we've been talking about this bridge for a few years now, but as we can see behind us, traffic flowing along really well. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, so we know traffic is moving across the bridge, but beyond that, there are a few unknowns that I want us to unpack here today. One of those is the fact that the county did make the decision back in late June to temporarily close the far half of the bridge, which is the westbound traffic of the bridge here. Why did that occur?
In conversation with GDOT, we decided when we shifted traffic onto the south portion of the bridge to close the westbound lanes or the north portion of the bridge until we could sort through what's going on with the settlement.
All right, we'll talk about what's going on here with the settlement, what exactly that means here in just a moment, but I want to touch on what you mentioned there, that you made this decision and the county did with GDOT, Georgia Department of Transportation. Talk about that briefly here, that partnership on this project, not only with the county partners here, but also with the state and contractors as well.
Sure. GDOT's got about $19 million in the project, and ultimately it will be turned back over to them to maintain. So we want to make sure that we're walking hand in hand with our partners at GDOT.
All right, so let's get up to where we are here today from June. You mentioned a settlement. What exactly is the settlement happening here around the bridge? What does that mean, and what's been done since that closure?
Right, so in some areas we have approximately 50 feet of fill material that's been placed in order to build the approach ramps and widen 369. There is always going to be settlement with that much fill placed. It is extended, seems to be continuing longer than we had anticipated. So we've set up a monitoring program to determine where we are now and see what those trends are going into the future.
And you've explained it to me before, and it seems to make pretty good sense. Where we're talking about this is, by the way, is on the far side of where we are here today, the Walmart side of the bridge in that corner there. So now, what is the county doing to monitor that? How does that process work?
So we hired a surveyor who's not been involved with the project today to set up survey control and then to establish more than 50 monitoring points. They started that effort in July and they're continuing it. So we have the survey control loop. They've shot the initial information and we're taking XYZ coordinates and then doing that over time. So it's a 4-dimensional survey. And we've got the baseline data and we're starting to get comparison data.
All right, now we're going to talk about what the next possible steps could be here in just a moment, but before we even do that, I want to talk about the bridge safety here. It's come up on social media and a few other people have mentioned that as well to the county, of how safe is the bridge currently, and with this closure as well. How safe is the bridge today and how safe was it when it opened?
The bridge is safe today and the bridge was safe when it opened. We took this precaution so we wouldn't have to inconvenience the traveling public if we had to close it down to make some repairs in the future.
All right, so there it is. You heard it right from the man who's building the bridge himself. The bridge is safe and has been since day one. That's great to hear. John, let's talk about this monitoring period. Exactly how much longer do we have to go until we could come to a decision?
Like I said, we started the first week in July. We anticipate it going 60 to 90 days, depending upon what the data tells us. And we hope over that period of time to have enough data to tell us where we are in the settlement period. We think we're towards the end of it. We're trying to confirm that.
All right, so still a lot of unknowns out there, and the county's just trying to get that information for the right decision to be made. But what could those decisions possibly be, John? What are the things that could happen, those scenarios that could play out here after the monitoring period?
Sure. One scenario would be to remove the approach slab on the westbound lanes and rework the fill underneath that approach slab and re-pour that approach slab. Another scenario could involve going down a little bit deeper on the west approach ramp at what we call bent 1 and reworking the cap, which supports the beams and sits on top of the piles. This is not a capacity problem. There appears to be some torsional loads in that are causing some minor cracking. Again, this bridge is designed to last 50 to 75 years or longer, and we want to make sure it meets its service design life.
Certainly makes sense. We're going to have some updates coming up in the future, by the way, on what those changes could be or what those impacts could be moving forward with those scenarios as they do play out. John, we were talking about this beforehand, though. Any of those scenarios, traffic still flows. Traffic
Right.
still continues to
Yes.
flow in SR 369, regardless of what's happening on the other side of the bridge, which is great news.
That's correct, yes.
John, anything we're missing here about the bridge that people need to know?
No, that's it. And I've said it before, we just need to indulge your patience.
Absolutely. All right, so be sure to stay tuned to ForsythCO.com, our social media channels, and of course TV Forsyth, AT&T Channel 99, and Comcast Channel 23 as well for much more information on what's happening here, not only on the bridge here at Exit 18, but also several other projects in Forsyth County. John, I know you're busy with McGinnis Ferry, Old Atlanta Road. Ronald Reagan is now open and full running, so John and the team at Capital Projects certainly busy. Much more information coming up here in the weeks ahead. Thanks so much for watching On the Move. John, we appreciate it as always.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me.
We'll catch you next time. So long.